to the show, everybody. Today is day one of our very first meal plan week. I am so excited about this. This past Friday, we posted my grocery list for this whole week's worth of dinners. I hope you had a chance to go shopping so we can all cook together all week long. Now, I know that for a lot of people, meal planning can be super stressful. So I designed this grocery list to take the guesswork out of what to make and what to buy. My hope is that by the end of this week, we'll have used up everything so nothing goes to waste. And today, since it's Monday, we are starting with something super simple and totally delicious, and it's called pizza eggs, which I invented, and I'm very excited about it. I make this sometimes on weekends. It's totally delicious. It's one of my absolute favorites. It's really, really nice. The first thing I want to do is get to work on the kind of flatbreads. Now, if you wanted to, you could totally buy store-bought pizza dough or some pita bread, but I'm going to show you how to make super quick and easy ones. So the first thing I need is 2 cups of flour. I'm just using all-purpose flour here. You could also use a mixture of all-purpose and whole wheat. I wouldn't go all whole wheat though, because whole wheat tends to be a little bit heavy. So add those 2 cups of flour on into a bowl. And since we want this to be quick, it's Monday. I'm not gonna ask you to use yeast. That would be mean. Nobody has time for that on a Monday. So we're gonna lift these up and give them rise with a little bit of baking powder. So I need 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. And as you can see, I'm not being particularly exact with my measurements because this is like easy baking, which is always a good thing on a Monday. Now, season that up with a teaspoon of salt and give that a stir just to bring all those dry ingredients together. This is a recipe that I make anytime I run out of bread, which happens like a lot in my house. Sometimes I'll look in the freezer thinking I got like a heel here or something. I don't. So this is what I bust out when I'm in that predicament. All right, so I've got all those dry ingredients nice and incorporated, and I've made a little bit of a well in the center. Now into there, I'm gonna add in 2 cups of plain Greek yogurt. Make sure it's plain, because vanilla would be gross. That's the only warning on this one. It's the only place you can really go wrong. So I'm just gonna add that on into here. And this recipe is kind of sort of like a biscuit recipe, in that you might need to add a little bit more flour. You might need to add a little bit more yogurt, just depending on how everything's coming together. But basically, all I'm gonna do is stir this. Now, since I'm not using yeast, this yogurt is gonna give kind of that like yeasty tang into these flatbreads. So they're gonna be really nice and tasty. Just mix it until a shaggy dough forms. Then what I do is turn this out, give it a little bit of a knead just to bring everything together. But as you can see, it's already almost a perfect, beautiful dough. Holding together and it's looking good. Now, after you've mixed any sort of dough, you do want to set it aside to rest for about 15 minutes. So I'm just going to pop this over here and get to work on stage 2 of this recipe, but also something that's going to get us prepped for the rest of the week. So I want to make some pesto. Now, if you want to buy store-bought pesto, go for it. But I love making fresh because it's really nice and bright. So I need a 1/4 cup of toasted pine nuts. If you want, you could also use some almonds. That would be great. Walnuts would be delicious. Any sort of nut gives kind of creamy savoriness into this pesto. Now, we obviously need some basil, because that's the #1 ingredient. So I need about 1.5 cups of basil leaves. So you know those like big packs you can get? They're usually cheaper than the little ones. Just grab a whole handful and pop that on in there. Now, this is something I like to add into my pesto to keep it nice and bright and green tasting and looking. And that is about 1/2 cup of some parsley leaves. Parsley keeps everything nice and kind of fresh. It gives it even more kind of green flavor, and it helps it not go brown. Basil likes to bruise. Parsley doesn't bruise as quickly, so it's really nice to do. Now that's in there. Now, a 1/4 cup of cheese. I'm using Parmigiano Reggiano. You need cheese in a pesto, am I right? It's always good. Now, I'm also gonna add in the zest and juice of a lemon. I love using lemon zest, and anytime I'm meal planning, I like to try to think of ways to get you to use almost every single piece of every single ingredient. Because what that's gonna do is it's gonna save you money. Like if you're throwing out lemon zest, that's just tossing money into the garbage, and we don't wanna do that. Now just get that zest in there. Now I'd add in the lemon zest. I've got that lemon zest in there. I just need some juice. Got my knife corner. Not at all spooky. All right. Add in that juice into there as well. Pop that in. Now, if you have any pips in there, feel free to use a little sieve or a strainer. Beautiful. Now, a little bit of garlic. I've got 2 cloves of garlic here, and I actually have them already chopped up because sometimes when you are using garlic in a food processor, I understand that you might be like, Mary, why am I chopping this up? This is gonna do it for me. But all those herbs are a lot more delicate, so I wanna chop the garlic first because then it kind of minimizes the amount of bruising that happens. Now, into there, I'm gonna add in a few good glugs of oil. And to be honest, when I make my pesto, I like to keep it chunky and thick. That way I can thin it out if I want to. I can add some to mayonnaise to make a nice basil pesto mayonnaise. So about 6 tablespoons of oil is perfect in there. Season that with some salt and pepper. And then all you need to do is blitz that baby up. Now this is enough pesto for the rest of the week because I didn't want to give you a grocery list where we're buying like 1,000 different things. I wanted it as streamlined as possible. So there's gonna be a little bit of a through line throughout the recipes this week, and pesto is one of them, and that's a good thing in my opinion. Now I'm gonna give that a pulse up, just until it comes together. I'd add a little bit more oil into there, but honestly, this is looking beautiful. So now I'm gonna get to work on the tomato sauce situation for these pizza eggs. Because right now I've got that dough resting, pesto is done. And for that tomato sauce, this kind of is like, it's kind of like a shakshuka, but with the flavors of pizza. And that is exciting in my books. So the first thing I need in my pan over about medium heat is a little bit of oil. So just drizzle that on in. And then I've got some cherry tomatoes that I've cut in half. That's gonna release some of their juices. So add those on into the pan. Season that with a little bit of salt and pepper. And typically I'd let those tomatoes cook down for about 2 to 3 minutes just to start breaking down. But for now, I'm just gonna speed through this baby and add in 2 cloves of sliced garlic. Give that a stir. Already that smells great, and that heat is just coming up. And then to give this even more sauciness, a can of crushed tomatoes. Just pop that on in. Absolutely beautiful. And now this is totally optional, but I like a little bit of heat on my pizza, a little bit of pizza shop vibes. So I'm gonna add in about half a teaspoon of crushed red pepper flakes. Now, I want that to come together, come up to a simmer and start cooking down. We are kicking off meal plan week with my Monday night pizza eggs. I am so amped about them because I love eggs and I love pizza. And it's easy, so it's a total win-win-win. So I've got that sauce here that we were working on earlier, and it's come up to a simmer and it's cooked down just a little bit. It's smelling real nice and tomatoey, but I wanna add in some fresh herb flavor. So this is where our good friend, Mr. Pesto, comes in handy that we also made earlier. It's so nice and bright and green smelling. So I'm gonna add in a couple tablespoons of that. And again, we made enough pesto to take us through the week. So yes, it's a Monday. Yes, I'm asking you to prep ahead, but we got it done. So Tuesday through Friday is gonna be a total breeze. All right, now I'm just gonna stir that pesto into that sauce. That's gonna give you all that basil flavor, that parsley, a little bit of spicy garlic flavor too. Absolutely beautiful. I know. I love a basil pesto swirl. It's always a good thing. Now into there, I'm gonna add in my eggs. For this recipe, you can do anything from 4 to 8, depending on how many eggs you want. I'm gonna do 4. And this is kind of like that shakshuka vibe. So just crack those eggs into that tomato sauce. And these are basically gonna poach in that sauce. It's really, really nice, super tasty. And it's got tons of protein, quick to throw together. But right now you're like, Mary, this is just like tomato sauce and eggs, a little bit of basil pesto in there. Sure, there's a bit of cheese. Ooh, can I get this without, haha, no shell, nailed it. But now we gotta add more cheese because it's pizza eggs. So I've got some fresh mozzarella here, just about half of a large ball, about 100 grams. And I'm just gonna tear this up and dot it all over top. I mean, come on, right? You feel fancy? Feel like you're making a margarita pizza, but it's got eggs on it? Don't tell the Italians, because they'll be like, this is not it, yeah. But it's so tasty and delicious, and it brings you all those flavors that you're looking for. So now I'm gonna transfer these little eggs into a 375-degree oven, and I wanna cook those for about 9 minutes, which sounds like a good amount of time, but basically I'm just looking for those whites to get firm and those yolks to still stay nice and runny. So while those do their thing, I'm gonna work on those flatbread. So So I've got my pan here, just a non-stick skillet over about medium heat, and I've got that dough that's nice and kneaded. If you can't tell, I kneaded it a little extra during the commercial break. So this is enough for 8 to 4, kind of depending on how big of a piece you want of that bread. So I'm just gonna cut that into 4 little pieces, dust the surface down with a little bit of flour, get some on the top, and then just roll that baby out. Again, if you did not want to make homemade flatbreads, you could totally use naan, you could use pita, that would be delish, but this is so simple and easy. And with that Greek yogurt in there, this has a ton of protein in it, which is really, really great. So just roll it into what I'd call like a squircle, you know, very technical. And then bring that over to the pan. I'm gonna add a little oil into mine. You don't have to, you can do this in a dry pan. And I just want that to cook for about a minute or 2 per side until golden brown and totally delicious. Just gonna wipe my hands off. And through the magic of TV, I think those eggs are done. Oh my gosh, they look beautiful. Okay, cool. We have got those beautiful eggs, still a little jiggly and wobbly, that melted mozzarella cheese, looking totally delish. Even though I need to save some of this pesto for later, I'm still gonna dot a little bit all over the top just for added extra bright green. And that to me looks like a dinner of champions or a weekend brunch if you're planning ahead. Hey, Mary here. What did you think? Drop your comments below and don't forget to like and subscribe for more of the good stuff.